There's the music. You know what that means. It means it's Friday. And it's time for Free Speech Friday, where we get a couple of straight-talking Kiwis and we chew over the events that have been hitting the headlines in the week and we've been discussing here on the platform. With us today, Lucy the listener. Lucy was a caller some time ago and I liked her style and we get on well. I've actually met Lucy a couple of weeks back at, strangely enough, the establishment of our other guest, Leo Molloy, for a mayoral debate. Lucy, how are you?
I'm good, Sean. Every time I hear that music, it kind of just gets me going. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling pumped. It's raining.
Yeah, and look, if you don't mind sharing with the group, one of the reasons you haven't been on, and we asked you, we thought, she's gone right off us. She won't come on. You've got good news. You've got a big thing happening in your life.
I do. So everyone's going to have to forgive me for the baby brain because I just forget things now. So yeah, just some news. You're going to have to. You're going to have to get some baby merch.
Okay, baby merch. All right. Well, if I know platform nappies, maybe. Lucy, that's great. Lovely to have you back with us. And as I mentioned, our other guest, our other Free Speech Friday is Leo Molloy, the host with the most. And last time I saw Leo, it was the night I saw Lucy. It was of the great foul-mouthed evil debate, Nazi debate, Leo.
Yeah, it was a bit of fun. I think most people enjoyed it.
I think it was fun. Thank you.
One or two members of the media may have taken dislike to some of the things we said and some of the antics of a couple of people, but generally speaking, it was well received. So we've had a lot of good feedback.
Good.
I don't remember meeting Lucy that night, though. Did I meet you, Lucy?
Yeah. I walked up to you and I said, "Hey, Leo, I'm listener Lucy. We were going to do Free Speech Friday, but then I said no, and then you're like, oh, cool," and then you turned away.
Oh, there's a lot going on for Leo that night, Lucy.
I know.
Nice to meet your folks who were there as well. Well, look, let's kick off, Leo, and you live relatively near, and your place is relatively near number 1 Queen Street. The events are yesterday morning. Is town calm now? Have we got through the initial shock of it?
Well, I'm sitting on the deck in Fiji looking across the lagoon.
You were in Fiji. Oh, nice.
And lovely and warm. But can I say, you have to have an opinion on these matters, but it's just such a terrible, terrible situation, and I just kind of get the feeling it might be a bit too soon to...
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad attitude, actually. I don't think that's a bad attitude. I don't think there's much good that anyone does getting outraged or afraid or speculating wildly. It does have an effect on you, though, a story like this, Lucy, an emotional effect, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, yesterday morning, the first thing I did, I woke up a little bit late, I think it was about 8:30, and I turned you on, Sean.
Yeah.
And all I heard you say was, "Yep, this is breaking news. Everyone's being told to stay inside." So it was quite alarming for the first words I heard in the morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, Leo's right. I mean, it's a bit too soon, but I think everyone's just in shock. I mean, I don't really even know what to say about it.
Yeah. And you know what? Yeah. That's okay. We don't all have to have an opinion on it or know something special. And I think our mainstream media, and I've been guilty of it myself, we drive these narratives hard because it makes people turn on the news or click on the website or buy the paper. And really, is that what it's about? I think it's about just getting through it and being logical and humane about it. Look, the other thing that's happened overnight, and I know we didn't have this on the list because it was unexpected, the soccer ferns, are they called the soccer football ferns? The Chick soccer team beat another country and actually scored a goal for the first time in about 15 games. But I wanted to ask you both generally, we are being told through advertising campaigns and the government buying us tickets that the FIFA World Cup is like, I don't know, it's like the Anglers El Dorado. It's the second coming of Jesus Christ. It's the most wonderful thing to ever happen to New Zealand. Call me a cynic, Lucy. I'm just still not that excited about
it. Definitely not the second coming of Jesus. Everyone will know when that happens. But I've always heard the FIFA to be a big thing. I've never followed soccer. I'd actually prefer to watch cricket, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's interesting to me. A little bit of rugby, some netball. Good on the girls for scoring a goal. I just don't know. I don't follow them. I've never watched a game of soccer in my life, actually.
All right.
So, not my
See, there's reasons I like you, Lucy. There's reasons I like you, and there's one of it, just instinctual. So you're not buying the hype around the FIFA World Cup?
Nah. I mean, honestly, I didn't even know it was starting yesterday until yesterday, actually. So, I don't know. I didn't know about it.
All right. Leo?
Yeah.
Leo, are you buying into it?
Well, at the moment it's a bit of a yawn, but the Women's Rugby World Cup started this way too, don't forget, and then we got lucky in that semi against France, and then we beat England. I think I had that round the right way by a point each time or something. So the hype could build. Who'd they beat last night? Norway. I don't know enough about women's soccer to know whether Norway's a good team, bad team or otherwise, but I mean, at least they have won. It's just better than having a loss, isn't it? Some way to start the tournament, I would have thought. A little bit of positive news to wake up to.
Oh, okay. So you're going to buy it. You're going to buy the hype.
Well, I'm not buying the hype, and I struggle with when you get Grant Robertson and Jacinda Ardern pumping people to go, almost bullying you into going. I struggle with that. I don't see what business it is there. Either it's a commercial success or it's not a commercial success.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be driven by a political party. I definitely have issues around that part. But at the end of the day, you can't begrudge the team a win. I mean, they managed to slip them past the goalies. Good luck to them. They probably won't get out of the first round, and I'm only saying that because I don't think we're any good at the game, that particular game. But,
I don't care if we're not good at the game, to be honest.
I can't name a single player. What is that?
Yeah,
you name a single player?
Ditto, Leo. In fact, I've forgotten the name of the woman who scored the goal already. And I'm here. Okay. All right, let's move on from the chick soccer. Let's talk actually about the interview I was just doing with Jonathan Ayling. Family First, not a charity anymore because I think they were unfairly deregistered, but they want to run some ads about this issue, what is a woman? A very contentious issue, greatly debated. And they have found this week, guys, that they have essentially, I think, been led up the garden path by our mainstream newspaper publishers. They were told their ads were approved or going to be run on Wednesday. They were spending a lot of money, big campaign. And then none of the newspapers run their ads because they say they just don't want to or like them. They weren't contentious ads. They weren't offensive ads. They didn't encourage illegal behaviour. They encouraged people to engage on what is a contentious issue, the issue of gender identity before the law. We've just had Jonathan Ayling on saying they're private companies. They can run or not run ads that they want. And to a certain philosophical extent, I agree with him. But surely this is cancel culture, Leo. This is our news media playing morality monitors for the country. Yep, that's a sad fact of modern life, really, isn't it? And it's hard to understand why one of the leading agencies like NZME don't take a diametrically opposed position and say people have the right to freedom of speech and freedom of thought. But, of course, we know that with that MSM crowd that's currently under the auspices of the Labor government and the Public Interest Journalism Fund, they largely like to channel what you're allowed to say and what you're allowed to think, and clearly this doesn't fall within their boundaries. I had a listen to that ad this morning, so I wasn't all over the story. Yeah. It's hard to see fault in that, particularly if you look through the lens of a woman who wants to be a woman, wants to be identified as a woman, wants to have the privileges of being a woman, e.g. giving birth, for example, or wants to be a woman who knows someone else is going to protect women's rights. How does she fit into that? How does she come to terms with the mainstream approach, which appears to be one of denying women the right to be women and the right to have their own views and their own biological views? Okay, let's not concentrate necessarily on that issue, on this issue of advertising and what you're allowed clearly to advertise, because I just think the sort of discrimination being practiced against Family First is wrong, no matter what the issue they want to advertise about is. You see what I'm saying? Let's concentrate on the issue. No, I'm talking to both of you. Well, Lucy, what do you think? Is this a fair discrimination where news publishers, big news publishers, say, we don't really like your organisation, you're not woke enough for us, we're just not going to take your business or run your ad?
Yeah, well, are you surprised? I wasn't surprised when I heard that. I would be surprised if I was to see that advert in a newspaper, actually, I would be quite shocked. I'd be like, really? That actually went through? Because that's the worst thing you can possibly say, is that woman is an adult human female. Like, that's it. You can't say that, that's what they tried to say. So, first of all, Jonathan's so smart. I was listening and he just went on and he knows what he's talking about. And I agree. If they don't want to advertise it, they don't have to, but it's just putting through a clear message that there's a bias. There's not two sides. They're just pushing one agenda. They don't want to offend people, but it's cancel culture because, and I think it's Bob from Family First. I think I see some of his videos on Facebook, and he's pretty onto it with a lot of his points. Whether I agree or disagree, it doesn't matter, but it's cancel culture to say that you're going to do it. It's like leading him on. It's like taking him on a date and saying, yeah, but I'm not going to pay for the meal, or I'm not actually going to take you home with me, and then just left him hanging. And that's just wrong. But I'm not surprised at all. It didn't surprise me.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's make one thing very clear, though. It's the content they're suppressing here. It's nothing to do with women. Otherwise, you wouldn't be having a women's FIFA World Cup at the moment. You'd be having a person's FIFA World Cup.
No, they do not like the content. They do not like the fact that there is a debate about this. Yeah.
And nor do they genuflect to New Zealand's proud heritage of being one of the biggest global supporters, invariably the leaders of women's rights, which really is a cornerstone of New Zealand society. That's all being consigned to history by these people.
Yeah. Well, our next topic sort of feeds on from that. That is a lovely chat with Kelly J. Keane, live on air yesterday from her studio in Britain. She, of course, is also known as Posie Parker. She's going to be back for the court appearance of Eli Rubashkin. She doesn't need a specific visa, but she's coming back to New Zealand. Boy, that's going to put the cat amongst the pigeons, isn't it, Leo?
Well, I can't wait. I mean, I'm a firm supporter of trans rights and a firm supporter of women's rights, and I have no problem doing the two simultaneously, but most of the radical nutters out there seem to have a problem. You've got to be one or the other. I can't wait to get alongside Posie Parker and show my support to women to have the right to speak and a platform to speak from. If that happens outside the courthouse, so be it. I'll happily line up there. I'll be interested to see how much courage the Labour Party, Green Party, Unite Union and Max Tweedy and Pride have to line up again for another crack, because I think the sentiment has swung very much back the opposite direction to what they had in their favourite Albert Park when they mobilised a couple of thousand people against 30-odd-ish, maybe 40. I don't think there'll be any appetite for that sort of...
Well, Lucy, what's your pick? Do you think a government minister is going to come out and say, like, well, Michael Wood's not a minister anymore? Funny that, isn't it? But do you think any government minister is going to come out and say, I'd rather she didn't come here? Or do you think in some ways she's won the battle?
Probably. I mean, the Greens made it pretty clear last time that they didn't agree with it. I found she's so funny. How iconic is she to come back outside the courthouse where that person assaulted her? That's just awesome. Government stuff, I don't know who's going to say. Probably people aren't going to be happy. But, this time I hope that people go and support her. I think women and men, if you agree or disagree, it's whatever. But, yeah, I think she has such a right to speak. I had a point. Sean, I had a point, and then I forgot my point.
That's all right. You're allowed. That's the baby brain.
So I want to see if Flip-Flop Hipkins, who's busy somersaulting backwards as fast as he can on every single Labour policy, will front up this time and say he wanted to stand alongside the protesters at Albert Park, the Chanel Lowell types, because I'll be quite happy to stand alongside Hipkins to share my view with him if he does. But of course we all know that he won't, because he'll run for cover now because he's a coward.
Do you reckon the Greens will rise to this? Because it's just before the election.
They'll be too frightened to.
You reckon? You reckon they'll go quiet?
Absolutely.
All right.
They're only good when they're beating up on defensive 70-year-old women. They're no good. If someone like me standing there, assuming the position,
you're very short though, Leo. I'm not sure most people would consider you a threat until you opened your mouth.
There we go. Thank you for sharing that.
Hey, Leo. It's funny because I think my partner whispered to you on that debate night, hey, Leo, we're the same height. But you didn't hear him. But don't worry, short kings roll, don't they?
Yeah. Your boyfriend isn't tall. That's truly... Sorry, the father of your child. Look,
Yeah, come on.
We didn't get heavily into this story, and I'll be honest, because it's so long since I had to put bond on a property or on a flat or anything. But this new policy, which seems to, maybe it was a quiet news day, but it got lots of coverage. And I would have thought a pretty simple policy. National Party say if you're having problems meeting your bond payment, you can apply your KiwiSaver savings to the bond. It didn't seem a hugely controversial policy for me. I'd also might say that people who are that young might not have the equivalent of their bond in their KiwiSaver scheme. But Lucy, I thought you would be a good person to talk to this. You are age adjacent to this issue. Would this make a huge difference to a lot of people, do you think?
Yes, I do. And when you brought it up, it was so funny because you said it and I had an opinion about it, and then you said, I don't want to talk about it, I'm right, you're wrong. And I was thinking, Sean, actually, I disagree with you.
Yeah, I did realise that I've probably been a little bit preemptive in that regard.
Nah, it's funny, but I thought it was a really good idea because saving for bond is hard, because your bond is what, $2,000-3,000. What I kind of like picture it as, it's kind of like an insurance policy from like house to house. Like that money can't come back into your bank account to spend. It's insurance that you can get into a new house without worrying about that. So I thought it was a really good idea. Plus, we had a guy from Generate Kiwi come to our house maybe 2 years ago to convince us to get our KiwiSaver out of ASB Bank because obviously the money's in there, but it's continuously moving. So the money's getting invested into different things. So he showed us the stats of like animal testing, the making or testing of weaponry. So the money that sits in there, it moves anyway. So I thought it was a really good idea. Why not?
Okay. Leo?
I had it very much in the yawn category as a story myself. I think just a niggle for the sake
And
of
that's a demographic difference, which is why I wanted to raise it with Lucy. We've got to realise there are other people in the world besides us, Leo.
Yeah, I think it's just something Chris Bishop floated with. It's an idea. It's a constructive idea. There's not too much downside to it, but the usual left-wing rantist try to put a twist on it and turn it into the greatest tragedy of all time, which it's clearly not. So I just started that 2 paragraphs and I said, I've read enough.
Yeah. Guys, a few polls out, and I know I didn't have this specifically, and then we look at the law and order thing, and let's just keep the events of yesterday at Queen Street out of this because they are too recent. But it does look like Labor is walking back its there is no crime policy position or it's all under control position. They finally seem to have woken up that there is a law and order and a crime policy in this country, Leo. But boy, is it too little too late.
Yeah, far too little and far too late, and very cynical the way they're now flip-flopping on everything. But I'm very curious about the Machiavellian machinations behind the scene with the likes of David Parker. I wouldn't be at all surprised if there's a spill-on with that party. They just do not like the way that...
that's what they always do to the Nats, and it's never true, Leo. It's never true.
Never true? Do you think Andrew Little stepped aside because he was just a nice man?
I cannot see Chris Hipkins stepping aside, but I do think... And it's amazing, Lucy, they've come up with this campaign slogan last weekend. What was it? It was, we're in it for you. Iffy, in it for you. Iffy or whiffy, we're in it for you. Aren't you amazed, Lucy, that after 6 years they're not telling you, saying, look at all the wonderful things we've done. Why don't we keep going?
Yeah, it kind of felt like clutching at straws a bit. It's kind of like they're drowning. They didn't know what to do. The government is, we've seen this past year, they're dropping like flies at this point. It's just a bit much. It's a bit embarrassing. I mean, you can't blame them for trying. Obviously, they're going to try and go hard or go home. But I think majority of people in this country can kind of like see through that. So I don't know who they're fooling.
All right. I'm going to ask you to this. Roger Douglas has said he doesn't like ACT anymore, which is amazing. Lucy, you're a young voter, so you haven't fallen into patterned behaviours in terms of voting. You're probably more likely to be flexible as a voter or a swing voter. I mean that in the nicest possible way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And I'm not going to ask you who you're voting for, but I'm asking for you, have you made up your mind now, or will the election campaign, is it likely to influence your view and sway you? Are you still open-minded at this stage?
No, I'm not open-minded. I'm pretty set on who I want to vote for. Previously, I will like to apologise for everyone in New Zealand. I did vote Labour, I think twice maybe. But,
we live it's a terrible thing, Lucy.
We grow, don't we? That's the point. So, I know where my vote is. But, it's also about, I enjoy people's policies, but it's not just a policy, it's about, doing what they say. I expected 500,000 houses or whatever they said to be built, but that didn't happen. So I like the follow through, but they haven't followed through. So not this year.
Leo, that was a bloody lame campaign slogan, wasn't it?
It's very lame, of course, borrowed from another failed party from a failed country in Canada. So no meaning, no value at all. Can I talk about Roger Douglas, though? Because I'm gravely concerned about Roger. I think he must have a very bad case.
Well, we had him on the show, was it yesterday or the day before? And he was walking back his I hate the ACT party a little bit.
Yeah. So he seems to have forgotten that he wanted a 25% flat tax rate. He's also forgotten that he deregulated transport in conjunction with Richard Prebble and cost the country 20 lives per annum. And that's formally documented in the Hansard because they got a Treasury report saying how many lives will it cost us. So Roger's suddenly gone from being a cynical, pure economist type approach to life, fiscally responsible, to now some sort of I'm up on my high horse and I'm a moraliser and I'll tell you what's good and bad for the country based on what I've forgotten, which apparently is most of his previous policies. And you mentioned also Rodney Hyde. Does Rodney still work for your show before I say what's the truth?
No, he never worked for our show. He was a fill-in host a couple of times.
Okay, because I worry about Rodney too because of the Super City disaster that we've had to put up with that's torn Auckland apart at the seams, and that single-handedly is Rodney Hyde. So Rodney Hyde, Roger Douglas, and arguably, to a lesser extent, Richard Prebble have a lot to answer for the way they've decimated this country. So if I was Roger Douglas, I'd be coming up here to Fiji and just hiding in a wee resort somewhere and saying sweet bugger.
Yeah, look, I must admit, and I'll tell you why Roger Douglas said, flat tax had nothing to do with me falling out with David Longy. And I know it did because I was the guy that told him that David Longy had axed the flat tax package in a phone conversation to his hotel room at London in about 3 o'clock on a British morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon here. And he screamed back down the phone. I said, it would appear the Prime Minister has called a halt or a pause on the flat tax reforms. And he said, he's done effing what? I said, he's said it's time for a cup of tea. So there's no way Roger Douglas can now tell me that had nothing to do with his demise as the minister. And it really is hard, Leo, to figure out what he's trying to do, what all this is about. Is he having a sort of Rob Campbell moment?
Oh, please don't bring Rob Campbell into this. The pendulum swinging left and swinging right. Mind you, Campbell was mates with Alan Gibbs, of course. He's mates with aforementioned people that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But, no, I just think poor Roger's had a dementia moment. He's obviously had a bit of a knock falling out the side of the bed or something. And now he's just dribbling.
Now, finally, there is a reason. There was also another method to my madness to getting Lucy and Leo on together. And that is after the debate that I met Lucy and her parents and her lovely boyfriend at Leo's place, there was some media coverage the next day. And Simon Wilson seemed to suggest that he was going to have to wash his ears out with soap, and it was the most ribald, sweary, disgusting. It was basically like a party at the Playboy Mansion, according to Simon Wilson. And Lucy, I thought, as you were a young New Zealand woman, I think I would put you as socially conservative. You're not out there. You're not some wild hippie. Was it? Did you read Simon Wilson's coverage, and was it an accurate reflection of the night?
I think I did. I don't know who Simon Wilson is. I'm presuming he's a journalist.
Yeah.
I did know that there was some negative backlash from it, and the menu thing happened. I never saw the menu there.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know. I mean, some of it, a little bit of banter. Some of it, people could take too far. Not too much to comment on that. Overall, it was really funny. Wayne Brown got roasted in front of everyone, but he was funny, and we met him, and he's a nice dude. Guy Williams was actually really funny. He made me.
He was good, wasn't he?
He was onto it actually. But I thought overall it was just a bit of fun, and it was for a good cause. I think people need to just grow up a little bit and, have a laugh. Life's too short. Don't take it too seriously. I mean, we felt like hillbillies in the back. We were a little bit out of place.
It was lovely to have you there, Lucy. It was great.
Well, everyone was quite, very dressed up, and everyone looked really good. Yeah, it was good though. We had a good time. Yeah,
good on you.
But controversial nonetheless, apparently.
Yeah, well, right, depends who covers it. That is a really nice note to end this edition of Free Speech Fridays on. Leo and Lucy, I thank you both very much indeed for your time. You can go and have another pina colada on the beach in Fiji, Leo. Very nice. And Lucy, we'll let you get back to your baby brain. Lucy and Leo, our panellists for Free Speech Fridays.